The Walking Dead is one of my favorite shows of all time, and one of my favorite scenes of the show is the "We Are the Walking Dead" speech. What I do find interesting, though, is that between the comic and the show, it carries a very similar meaning, but the way both speeches are executed and done are very different. However, before I get into the main differences between the two, I would like to bring your attention that with the ongoing strikes in Iran by both America and Israel, and also the ongoing genocide in Palestine, it's now more important than ever to talk about Arab.org. If you don't know how to help, this is a great free way to give support to everyone you need. All you need to do is a click a day and you're set. Please try and save someone in need if you can. I know I will. For those of you who need the refresher, We Are the Walking Dead is not only a cool little title drop, but on top of that, too, it's made to show off both the walkers themselves and also the nihilistic view of the survivors that are currently forced to live in this hell, realizing they must kill off their humanity and act like they're dead in order to actually survive, but never truly live, in a sense. The speech comes around the TV show around season 5, episode 10, Them, where the group is at their emotional and physically lowest while traveling to Washington, D.C. and suffering heavy losses. And trapped in a barn in a stormy night, Rick pretty much gives a speech telling himself about his grandfather who used to tell himself that he was dead before he even went on the firing line in order to survive and go home. He says that no matter what happens in DC, he knows that everyone will be ready because they will have to remind themselves that they are the Walking Dead in order to survive. Daryl manages to at least try to fight back against this by saying we ain't them, but the message still remains. Comic book version is actually a lot simpler since that happens around issue 24 of the actual comics, right around the prison arc where, after a fight between Rick and Tyrese, Rick basically decides to not be leader anymore. However, while he is fine with this decision at first, he realizes that it's because the group still thinks that someone's going to be rescuing them and that they still can hold on to humanity in order to survive. For Rick, he then goes into an entire tangent. The speech is a lot longer in the comic, but to summarize, it's all about how there's no way that civilization's ever going to go back to normal. And as such, this does mean that the group will have to do everything they need to in order to survive. And that every time they do kill a walker, they are just living on borrowed time and delaying the inevitable, because once they die, they also will turn eventually because they are the Walking Dead. It's much more of an angry and nihilistic rant in order to try and remove all forms of hope from the survivors. Only to have this speech parallel once again near the end of the comic to say that we are not the Walking Dead and we can live. Still, I love both versions of the speech and I want to know your favorite.